first off, I want to say thank you to you guys, Mr. and Hirsch for joining. I appreciate it. This ha has been a long time coming. I really enjoy what you guys are doing, and I wanted everyone in the community to really know about Initia and what you guys are about. And I just want to say thank you guys for this opportunity.
Yeah, man. Thank you as well. Happy to chat about Initia and inform your community a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, great. So, before we start off about Initia and stuff, I do want to talk, about you guys. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. Like, how did you first learn about crypto and what kind of caught your interest?
So for just like when I learned about crypto, I was like I remember like playing CS with my buddies like back in like grade 7, and there used to be some like CS wagers like that allowed you to like bet with Bitcoin. And I learned through crypto about that, but I didn't get into crypto till like 2020 after like the COVID pandemic happened. And I was just like I was on Twitter and I got into crypto, and from there it just snowballed. And it was cool, like just learning, just like because I came around like May-ish. This was before DeFi summer 2020, so just like starting out like during DeFi summer, it was pretty cool. I did lose a lot of money on like some of the projects in DeFi summer, but I just stuck around, and to see where crypto has like come, like it's really like surreal to see.
Bro, tell me about DeFi summer. I got robbed so many times during that summer. I still have fun. It was still fun. And ETH was like what, 200, $300? Man, those were the good days,
Yeah,
honestly.
they were.
Well, bro, DeFi projects are never pumping again. That was their peak. That was their peak. We're never getting a DeFi season again.
Oh my god.
Mister, how did you get into crypto?
Yeah, for sure. I used to play a lot of RuneScape back in the day, and eventually I stumbled across this forum where you could buy and sell RuneScape gold, RuneScape accounts, RuneScape services, and items for like cash, like PayPal, and there was no Cash App back then. It was just like PayPal. There was like Western Union. We used that as well. But what? So I started doing that for a bit, just like flipping gold for profit and things like that. And eventually, it got to a point where I like the problem with PayPal is that you could, if you're on the seller's end, the buyer could just say like I didn't receive my funds or it was a fraudulent transaction, and then the payment would get reversed, so the seller would get owned. So um, a few of us were looking for alternatives, and then we stumbled across Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was perfect because after one confirmation, it couldn't get double spent, it couldn't get refunded. So that was kind
Yeah.
of our main use case. And yeah, after that, we just started using Bitcoin. This was, I think, around 2018 or so. And yeah, that's how I first came about crypto. I was mainly just using it for cash, I was pretty young. I wasn't thinking of it as an investment. So didn't hold on to any of my early Bitcoin that I'd bought at like whatever the price was, a couple thousand. And yeah, but then I stumbled into actual like CT and DeFi and NFTs around late 2021. This was August. My in real life friend told me about Solana and Solana NFTs and how it was super cheap and super fast to use. So I got pretty familiar with like Magic Eden and a few of the other Solana NFT marketplaces, and got read quite a bit as well as Hirsch did. Learned some valuable lessons. And yeah, that's kind of that. I just got on the CT, stuck around like Hirsch, and now here I am.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I first found about Bitcoin back in 2000 and like I want to say mid 2010. I was playing World of Warcraft, and a lot of people back then were like talking about how you can buy gold and sell gold and get this thing called Bitcoin for it. And back in the day, people didn't really want to spend money to buy gold. So one guy like was like shilling it in the trade channels and all that stuff, saying, "Oh, you can, yeah, loot Wrath of the Lich King, literally." And one guy was shilling in the trade channel, and my guild chat like, "Oh, just use your computer and farm Bitcoin. Then you can sell this Bitcoin and then use it to buy gold, and it's literally free gold. You don't need to do all of this shit." I'm like, "Bro, you're doing all of that work for $20? You must be struggling or something." And that was my mindset back in the day. So I regret not listening to that guy. But then in 2017 is when I'm like, okay, I need to take this shit seriously. Like, it's pumping. So then that's how I got in. And then I got rugged, and I'm like, okay, I'm not taking a rug. I'm gonna stay in and fucking make something out of it. And here I am.
Yeah, man. That
So
yeah, like the perseverance, like that's that's one thing I learned because in 2021, I joined like in the thick of it. Like you could mint any Solana NFT and make like an instant 5x, 10x, and after grinding that for like 18 hours a day, naturally you kind of get burnt out. Like, and then the bull market or the bear market hit, and I was just burnt out. I was like, like I'm done with this crypto thing, So I took a little hiatus, and that's probably one of the things I regret is not continuing to stick around despite being a little burnt out, despite being a little tired of it. Because deep in the bear market were some of the greatest opportunities that are kind of showing themselves now. So
yeah, yeah, and you said, as you said, like you could have minted anything back in 2021, and it was 5x, and the issue was that 5x wasn't enough in 2021.
yeah, it wasn't. That was like the bare minimum.
Yeah, it's like
Like
only 5x. What the fuck?
yeah, like what is this rug?
Yeah, it's like I didn't make anything on this. What, I only made 500% in a day,
Yeah,
and it's
and
like
like instantly.
yeah, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, yeah, this has Bored Ape vibes to it. This shit is going to fucking 100 soul or some shit, and it's like, yeah, that's now I remember the sentiment back then very well, and it was fun. And I remember near the end of 2021, I felt the same way. I was like, I'm too tired. No sleep, nothing. I just want the bear market to start. I literally sold all my Solana at the peak at $250, and it wasn't like I was calling the top. It was like, no, something happened. I needed to sell. So I sold the top, and then I was like, yeah, bear market starting. This is good. This is good. I regretted that, because once the bear market starts, you're gonna hate your life for real. Like, it
Yeah,
was depressing. It was depressing.
yeah. The bear
So
market hits, you just mentally tap out. So
exactly. So everyone has the one crypto project that they first got in, like that got them in. And how did it go for you? Like, what was your first crypto project that you bought?
the first crypto project I bought was I think it was Soul Badgers or Solana Badgers or something like that. That
Oh,
because
I remember those.
I was primarily into NFTs. I remember doing pretty well on those. The one man, the one where I like absolutely was like, okay, I'm addicted to this shit. It was a NFT project on Solana called Soul Seeds. I'm not sure if anyone here knows what those are, but it was just like a picture of a house. I think the supply was like 2,000 or something like that. Um, I got in really early. I was able to mint a few, and then I was also a moderator in their Discord. So I remember getting one for free then, and the floor price went all the way up to like 150, 200 soul or something like that. Whenever soul was, 150, $200, and I maybe had like $1,000 to my name or something like that. So I ran up like 10,000+ off that, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Like I love crypto. So yeah, that was it for me.
Yep. Hirsch, I know your story. Tell
Dude.
it's pretty epic. Yeah, it's pretty epic. I want to hear it again.
Okay, so like the first like crypto like exposure that I bought like or anything like that was Tezos, right? I got showed Tezos by one of my Twitter mutuals who I thought like was a giga brain, right? Because I didn't know anything about crypto like when I first started off, right? And I was like thinking, yo, this coin the guy showed me Tezos, right? It's probably has moon potential. I bought around like $2, I would say, right? And I used all like the money I had, right, available because we got like during the pandemic, right? In Canada we got like CERB benefits, right? The stimmy checks. So I just
Yep.
bought Tezos when I could have bought ETH at like 120, the Bitcoin at like 4 or 5 thousand, right? I decided to go all in Tezos, right? It didn't do anything the entire summer. I was like, okay, maybe I should do something different, right? So I sold my Tezos. Then I got into like the DeFi summer projects. Most of them were rugs. I remember spending a lot of money on this like coin called like Owl Swap, right? It was like a stealth privacy dex. Bro, I lost so much money on that. I can just think about
I remember.
the ETH I put
I,
into that, it's all gone.
yeah, I lost money on Owl. I remember that. And at one point, my Owl was up like 50 ETH, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make like 200 ETH on this one and all that shit. And yeah, I wish I sold because that went to zero the same day, literally the
Yeah.
same day. But
Oh
that's
man.
why I love crypto. You'll feel all the emotions in 1 hour, literally.
Yeah.
Um, my first project that I bought, surprisingly, was Tron.
Justin Sun supporter right there.
He's my hero. I bought it. If I still had my Tron bag, I'll be up like 10%.
Oh man.
After holding it for like what, almost since 2017, 2018, early 2018, I bought it. That was like the first alt I bought. At the start, I was only buying Bitcoin, and the first alt I bought was Tron, and I thought Justin Sun was the second coming of Jesus Christ because he knew Alibaba founder. That was what they were shilling because he had a picture with Jack Ma and it was all over crypto, all over CT, and the rumors were Jack Ma is going to be the advisor of Tron. So it was a good time. It was a good time. Justin Sun is my hero. I'll never forget that. And when you guys were starting out, did you guys face like any challenges or anything like that, or uh, any other than rugs? What would you say was your biggest challenge?
Probably probably just the fact that there were so many opportunities. So I was just on the computer like 18 to 20 hours a day. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't eating. I wasn't doing anything except like on CT, on Telegram, on Discord looking for opportunities. So I probably would have, you know, the thing is, like I was about to say that I maybe would have like chilled out a bit, but that that got me that like relentless grinding got me to where I am today. So it's hard to say that I have any regrets, but um challenges, yeah, just burnout really, just having to keep your
Yeah,
eyes everywhere, it's hard. That's why having a powerful network of friends is super important because, you know, maybe they're not in the same country as you, they're on at different times, and you can kind of share information, still benefit that way. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Like the Alpha House team it consists of like me, Honey, and DJ. They're both on the other side of the world. So when I'm sleeping, I'm waking up to like DMs, like messages from them, be like, hey, this happened while you were sleeping, in the market, and I'm getting market updates from them, and while I'm sleeping, and I'll do the same for them, and it's like that's how we kind of help each other out, and having people from the other side of the world definitely helps you stay in line with what is actually happening in the space. So now let's get to some of the questions about Initia. What is Initia? Let's start off with that. What is it?
So like Initia is like a network for interwoven rollups, right? So we're like building a move-based layer one with like an integrated network of layer twos, right? And our like primary goal is to create like a highly interwoven like system of modular networks, right? Whereby like every layer two app is constantly connected with like every other like like L2, right? In the entire framework. And
Mhm.
and one thing we noticed, right, is like fragmentation, like with Initia, right, is eliminated across a system of like thousands of individual like chains, rollups, right? So like teams and products can like retain the value they create, and users can like seamlessly interact with like all these like different rollups, right? Without facing like those problems that you get in like monolithic chains, right? 'Cause- and the thing, right, is like we like to call like Initia L1 the orchestration layer, right? It's built to handle like messaging, asset routing, liquidity, and security throughout like the entire multi-chain system on Initia, right? And it also exists to provide like the L2s that they will like everything that they would need, right? So again, native USDC, CCTP access, oracles, instant bridging, accessible liquidity, and most importantly, rewards. So ultimately, Initia is like a holistically rebuilding how entire multi-chain networks should look, feel, and operate across like the whole architecture stack that developers
Mhm.
use, right? The product stack and the end users that like interact with, right? And the economic systems that tie it all together. So that's basically what Initia is.
And that see, I'm kind of tech retarded, so that just sounds really good to me. I'll be honest, like to me, like in all seriousness, though, in all seriousness, the way that I'm seeing crypto is building out, and people want a seamless experience, and everyone is using different chains, and these
Yeah,
chains are now getting their own layer twos. Like, who would have thought Solana's getting a layer two?
yeah,
And everyone thought Solana is really fast, cheap, da da da. They don't need layer twos. Now look, they're getting their own layer twos. The fact that this is an L1 that's already thinking how to create layer twos that is going to be easy to create and is all going to be connected right from the start. Um, I mean, you guys are already thinking that far ahead. And
yeah,
that's what a lot of new L1s till today don't do. Like, how many new chains do we see that haven't even thought about how they're gonna get the layers connected, the other layer twos? Everyone thinks, oh, we're gonna create a layer one that doesn't need layer twos. No, that doesn't work like that anymore. Even Solana needs layer twos. So the fact that you guys are already thinking of that and that's gonna be your bread and butter is like, in all seriousness, it sounds like, really good to me. Um, but how did you guys discover Initia? Like, how did you guys get into it? What attracted you guys?
Yeah, I
for
can.
me. Oh,
Oh,
okay, Mister, you could go ahead.
okay, cool. Um, yeah, so I used to work at a project called Temple DAO. Some of you guys maybe familiar with that. Um, and Zon was a Zon is one of the co-founders, or yeah, one of the co-founders of Initia. He was a pretty active community member inside Temple DAO, and me and him became a little friendly. I was also pretty good friends with DCF God during that period of time, and DCF DCF reached out to me and was like, "Hey, there's this project that is has a lot of potential. It's very bullish. It was Initia. Would you want to get in contact with with Zon and Stan to see if there would be some parallels and what you do and what they need and things like that?" And so yeah, that was how I got connected. And what kind of led me to actually pulling the trigger on working for Nisha was after having the initial conversation with Zon and Stan about why they're building Nisha. Um, they they really just sold me. Because I had they talked about liquidity fragmentation across L2s. They talked about how if you're like on Optimism, for example, you have to wait like 7 days to bridge back, all these things. And I know firsthand, I have some developer friends that wanted to build L2s or they wanted to build their own networks, and getting things like Oracle access or like native USDC across a rollup is a pain in the ass to do on your own. You need to have raised a lot of money. You need to have had several connections that the average developer doesn't have. So yeah, kind of once I heard their pitch, I was like, okay, I'm sold. This sounds incredibly bullish. I want to be a part of this. And yeah, now here I am.
Yeah.
For
And
me, it
yeah,
was basically like I got DM'd by Zahir. He's one of the investors in Initia, and just like out of the blue, he's like, "Yo, are you doing anything right now?" I'm like, told him right, I'm like fun employed because I left UXD right like a couple of months prior to joining Initia, and he like told me like, "Do you want to work for Initia?" And I'm like, he could put me in contact with Zon and Stan. I was like, sure, and from there, just kind of snowballed from there. Like we had our like initial conversation, right? They pitched me with Initia, and I was like, "Yo, you guys are building like something really like cool and unique, right?" Because like from what you mentioned, like Mo, like nobody's like thinking like ahead, right? Of like how to like create an entire ecosystem that can like work together seamlessly. And
yeah,
Initia was that, so right, and from there, and we should when we just like connected, and then they told me like we have like Mist on board, and I was like, sure, why not? I was like, might as well. So
yeah,
that was pretty much it.
yeah. And you're right. Like even some of the most hype L1s right now that to come, they're not even thinking about layer twos. They're like, we're gonna achieve this much TPS. We're gonna be so fast. We don't need layer twos. Bro, are you sure? I mean, you know, that I'm just saying, like, I'm not those that's what a lot of new L1s are doing, and it's not really feasible anymore in crypto. Here's my issue with L2s though, as a user perspective. I don't like the idea of bridging and bridging back. So everyone, as a user, everyone wants that seamless experience, like where they can just transfer their tokens, use all their layer twos and whatnot without having to wait for bridging and paying fees and all that. That's where the headache starts coming in, and then you start, forgetting where you put your money, which chain that put it on and all that. Have you ever like logged into a wallet like, hey, why do I have like $500 in OP, and you forgot, shit, I was farming something, or an Arbitrum or something. It happens all the time. But that's one of the things that I think in the future that's going to be fixed with, new projects coming up. One of the cool features that actually attracted me about Initia was use any token for gas. So that's something that's really interesting to me, and that's something that hasn't been done before. And I'm really, really excited to see how that's going to play out, because that's what a lot of people have issues with today, especially using ETH. If you have like USDT stuck on mainnet and you have to transfer ETH to just send over that USDT, a lot of people just prefer to just pay the gas in USDT and get it over with. But Initia is going to fix that problem. Um, so can you explain some of the architectural ownership in Initia and how it kind of differentiates from other chains?
Yeah, for sure. So for Initia, architectural ownership refers to the fact that on Initia, we built this entire new multi-chain system from end to end ourselves. So while we use certain frameworks like the Cosmos SDK and allow L2s to tailor their rollups using it, like custom gas fees, for example, like you just said, we have built all the pieces of the stack needed to create a new system from the L1 from the L1 orchestration layer, which acts as the hub for every L2 for all things like routing, message passing, liquidity to the OP init stack, which is our optimistic rollup framework with fraud proofs and rollbacks, to the L2 implementations and VM integrations, to the messaging, layer in between. So Initia has full architectural ownership of how multi-chain systems should be designed in our view, which allows us the freedom to make certain changes and decisions. We've had the benefit of seeing the Cosmos ecosystem unfold over the years and the problems they faced, along with the problems of the rollup systems appended to Ethereum, which was never intended to scale with rollups originally.
Yeah.
Redesigning a system built specifically for a rollup centric future is what we've done on the architecture side.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Making it easy for rollups to happen and for users to even use that shit, just changes everything. That's part of the reason why I'm actually bullish on like base, and that's the only layer two I'm bullish on. And Hirsch knows that I don't like layer twos at all. That
Yeah.
was actually my take back in the bear market, that all layer twos are going to fail. And there's no point in buying Optimism, there's no point in buying Arbitrum, there's no point in buying any layer two token, because they're just useless. Like who wants to buy an L2 token just to vote in a DAO? You can't even use the token for gas. You still have to transfer ETH and use that for gas. So it's like, what was the point of owning it in the first place? So I can go on a long rant about that, but the way that you guys are thinking about it changed my view on layer twos, and that's why I'm excited about Initia. So if I'm a developer, what would be some of the key benefits for me to use Initia over other layer ones?
So like it depends on the type of developer and product being built, right? Initia specializes in like making it very simple to build app chains, which we call Minitias, right? And ensure that they have everything they need to operate, but also ensure they're built into the entire interwoven network. So they're not isolated, right? Because that's the problem with like other L2s, they're like tribalistic, right? And this leads to fragmentation. So with Initia, we're trying to make it like they're in like the entire like inside the ecosystem, right? And if you're trying to build a chain for whatever reason, right, whether that you want to like retain the value you create, you want a giga fast chain uncumbered by like other dApps, or you want to change the way like transactions are processed or ordered, Initial is like the best home to do this.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, right, Cosmos SDK has been like the most flexible stack to like build unique blockchains. And you can see this right with DYDX, their version 4, Parachain, Osmosis, Celestia, and they're all built on the Cosmos SDK, right? And
Yeah.
Initial lets you build a full-fledged Cosmos SDK chain, right? And you can use whatever smart contract language you want due to like multi-VM support that we provide. So you could write in EVM, MoveVM, and WASM VM, and we then remove like the biggest barriers of a Cosmos chain, which is primarily the fact you need a validator set, and then we take care of all the biggest burdens, like having your own chain through our L1 orchestration layer. So the L1 does like everything for you, right? If you want to build, and if you look at like
Yeah.
rollup systems on Ethereum, for example, like the OpStack or the Arbitrum Orbit, they provide you like a copy paste chain, and they're fragmented and inflexible, right? And Initia can solve that. And at Initia, we recognize that, right, that the only way if L2s, right, win is we have to like help, right? We have to help the teams, right? We have to build interesting things with them, help set up partnerships, and ensure we give back values to the L2s through a very unique system of Initia VIP. I can't leak what Initia VIP is about, but very soon it will be revealed right on Twitter. And it's the
Solid.
most creative system for rewarding like long-term users across a massive multi-chain network, and that I've seen, right? And we're super keen to release like more info on it, just so stay tuned for our Twitter announcements. And and we knew that like if we build like the best architecture stack to build chains, right, devs are not our only users, right? Ultimately end users, like the ones that actually like play with the dapps, are also the users of Initia. So in light
Mhm.
of that, we have spent like a significant amount of time like building a product stack that makes it simple and easy to use, like 1,000 different interwoven rollups. And of course, we're slowly going to have to like reiterate, right, to to reach our final vision, but public testnet will be like a great time to gather feedback on what we've built so far. So, we're always just like taking community feedback to like see if we're doing if we're doing things right.
Okay. And like on your site, you guys talked about like performance metrics and whatnot, like 500 ms block time, over 10,000 TPS, and we've seen that before. But how does how do you guys achieve performance metrics like that?
Yeah, for sure. So, generally speaking, 10,000 TPS is not a hard number to hit. The reason chains can't is because of consensus requirements. For example, having hundreds of validators come to agreement on what needs to be included in a block. So the advantage of rollups is that you have a much smaller set of sequencers that are deciding transaction ordering in blocks, and then security is inherited through the Initia L1. So we've been able to hit 10K TPS due to that. So another factor is optimistic execution. This is a feature that Say also has. In typical chains, what happens is a block is put together, all the validators vote that the block has the right order, then the nodes execute the transactions and the block to update the data states, then the block is committed. With optimistic execution, you parallelize this process. Voting on the block ordering happens at the same time that nodes execute the transactions. This optimistic execution process also helps cut down block times as well. So that's what enables us to get our 10K TPS.
Okay. Now, when you say like the nodes and stuff, would it be, let's say I'm an end user and I want to run my own node. I'm not sure if you guys would know this or not, but would it be, how should I say, expensive for me to run my own node for Initia? Or
Mm,
because here's a lot of misconceptions that people don't know. It's not easy to run a Solana node. Even though it's fast, even though it's cheap, but it's actually expensive to run a Solana validator or node or whatnot, to be staking on your own and all that stuff, like completely.
right.
Um, and it's much more expensive than actually owning 32 ETH and just staking on your own. So, so would you guys say, is it cheaper than Solana to run your own node or validator on Initia, or has that not been ironed out yet?
It has not been ironed out yet. No, we're still
Okay.
yeah, we're still kind of seeing what makes sense in that regard.
Okay. Now, as Hirsch mentioned, Initia's multi-VM, would that allow like DApps using different programming languages to interact with another? Would that be possible if someone, let's say, develops something in one language and wants to interact with another DApp that's in another language? Would that work?
So like that's correct. Like Initia enables the developers to pick between like 3 VMs options at the moment, and we plan to add additional ones in the near future. So like currently, Initia supports EVM, right, MoveVM, and Wasm VM.
Yeah.
So Wasm is pretty standard on Cosmos, and CosWasm, right, is the typical smart contract languaging used. So we've introduced MoveVM to Cosmos for the first time. We think it's quite a powerful language and especially apt for game developers or new builders in crypto because it's like security like focused, but also like essentially unlocks object-oriented programming. And we've also like developed our own EVM instead of like using something like Ethermint, right? We wanted to ensure that like certain bottlenecks in EVM or EVM on Cosmos were solved so that like Solidity devs could like build just like they do on another EVM chain. And generally we expect each Minutia to have one VM. However, it was critical to like build interoperability into the system. So across Minutias, across VMs, right, there can be
Mhm.
composability, right, as well as bridging. And our VMs have like our VMs each have like full IBC support, so that you could use it to perform cross Minutia actions and call like SC in different languages. And for
Okay.
example, I could like string together a big multi-chain transaction that does something like CDP stable on a move militia, IBC it to an EVM militia, and swap it for some ETH, right? And IBC it to a Wasm militia and buy an NFT all in one transaction.
Oh, okay. So you can do all of that in one transaction without actually having to do every single step manually.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess that my next question was, how does that impact the flexibility of the development? I guess you just answered that question right there. That makes it very flexible for the user at that point, even for developers. Um, yeah, that sounds great. So going back to one of the points that I mentioned, that you can use any token for gas on Initia. Can you talk more about that, and how would that work for like users and developers? How do you even get that going?
So like, have you ever like bridged from one chain to another but didn't have like the native gas, so you're like stuck, right?
Yeah.
We all like face that like issue, right? So
Yep.
initially solving for this, right? For this like situations that like people encounter like when they're using like L2s, right? Even like L1s, right? And so just imagine like depositing a non-ramping USDC directly into like a trading minutia and receiving a deposit receipt like TUSDC, right? And that TUSDC token could be used to like pay for gas, make trades on the platform, and earn additional yield while the underlying USDC sits in SDAI, right? And every minutia rollup can easily set which tokens, right, are eligible to be used to pay transaction fees, right? And custom gas fees enable like a whole new spectrum of possibility on rollups that can like lower barriers to entry, improve UX, or bring additional utility to tokens, right? Simple tokens such as like WSTE, USDC, Init, even like Harry Potter, Obama Sonic, Bitcoin,
Yeah.
SDAI, or project's own token could be great options, right? And not only that, but we have developed something called like JIT gas, and it's just like an acronym for just-in-time gas. So you could use whatever token, right, to like pay for your gas transactions or like do everything with them. So this is a pretty neat feature that we have created.
Interesting. And so something like that would have been actually useful for like the degen layer 3, where people can use degen right now as gas, but the way you described it, people can pretty much set certain tokens that they like for gas based on the D app they're developing, or the layer 2 they're developing. So Mr. talked about enshrined liquidity. Um, how does something how does that even work? What is enshrined liquidity?
Yeah, for sure. So Initia employs the enshrined liquidity system, which is incorporated into the layer one. The Initia L1 incorporates a DEX onto the chain and improves on traditional proof of stake security models by allowing whitelisted init X token pairs to be staked directly with validators. So, for example, if you want to stake just normal init into a validator, you can. But additionally, you could stake things like init USDC, init ETH, init TIA into validators, which is something that we haven't seen before. Um, and what this does is it provides accessible liquidity for the larger Initia ecosystem, securing the network, and also acting as an inner L2 router. And we think that the biggest advantage of enshrined liquidity is that it builds a moat of major assets that every L2 can very easily make use of. But we also think that the interchain router is quite interesting. Due to the design of our multi-chain system, the L1 is used as an orchestration layer. For example, it facilitates message passing, token routing, security, etc., across all the rollups that are built on Initia. Due to this design, L2 to L2 transfers actually route through the L1. So if I'm transferring tokens from a NFT minutia to a trading minutia, what actually happens is that the funds go through NFT the NFT minutia to the Initia L1 and then back to that trading minutia. Um, so you can send assets from one minutia, swap them, and receive whatever you want on the destination Initia with relatively low slippage, given how the liquidity will be available and enshrined into the chain.
Okay. That's something I never heard of before, by the way. So this is like a unique feature
Yeah,
that's
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because like how many times do you get like USDC or some other random USDC token on like an L2, and then there's low liquidity on it, or and
Yeah.
you eat like 5%, 10% slippage or things like that. Or you are like, for example, even like there's some bridges out there where you have the ability to bridge certain tokens onto a network, but there's actually no liquidity at all. So it's kind of just stuck there forever. That's happened to me. I have some weird USDC token on Osmo that has zero liquidity, so I it's just stuck there forever. So yeah, initial solving for that. It takes a lot of the fragmentation across rollups, and yeah, it's really smart stuff. Shout out to the team.
Yeah. I mean, there was even USDC wormhole, and it had like no liquidity, and it
I
was only
remember
like
that.
yeah, it was like USDC only used for like bridging or some shit. And I was like, what was the point of that? You had to bridge back to get the correct, or try to bridge back to get the correct USDC, and try to bridge it again, or try to use a centralized exchange as a middleman. It's really the process is not ironed out on a lot of chains, and liquidity is actually the biggest problem. And I do think that if you're a layer two, you shouldn't be having liquidity problems. I think the main layer, like the L1, should be the one that's holding all the liquidity and is kind of like used when it's needed on whatever layer two that people need it on, or whatever they're doing. Um, so yeah, um, finally, looking ahead, what are like the next big milestones for Initia? How do you envision Initia and evolving over the next 1 to 2 years?
So like for like the next big milestones for Initia for like for the next 1 to 2 years, I mean like I think during like maybe mid May or maybe end of May, we're gonna have public tests very soon because it's Initia May after all, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we should have the launch of mainnet soon after. So there's gonna be a big Cambrian explosion of interwoven like rollup system, like ecosystem, like right to like to the entire to the entire crypto industry, and we're also like very excited. I mean, we talked about Initia VIP, but like we're really excited for that because it's a pretty sick reward mechanism system that we've built into the entire multi-chain network, right? Together, like Atom or a typical roll-up as a service system could never do. So we have done that, and this is one of the advantages of building a L1 plus L2 system together, is that we're able
Yeah,
to like really design the entire like system specifically for a roll-up centric future, which no L1 is for, right? Like can do right now, right? Like what you have mentioned before, like Mo, like no L1 or even like L2s are thinking this ahead, right? So
no.
like instead we append L2s to legacy systems or build like interop to fill holes. So VIP will be really cool. It'll be really cool. So that's what I could say. But that's gonna be very soon, and hopefully mainnet after that.
Okay. Camille is asking, um, what I'm not sure if this is a troll question. Ask what Initia can do for layer two slash rollups. What can they do for Initia, and how does the value flow back to the layer one? So how does the value of these L2s flow back to the main chain?
Right. So Initial VIP goes over this quite a bit. So it's hard for me to, I don't want to leak anything. But the way VIP works is that the value inherently goes back to the L1 because of how Initia VIP works. If you just stay tuned for our Twitter, that's like I don't want to say anything that'll get the boss man upset with me. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right,
Stay
so
yeah, just stay tuned on our Twitter. We're gonna have a really big thread on Initia VIP, and that'll kind of explain everything that you want to know, Camille.
okay, that's perfect. So Initia VIP will answer that question for you. We've been almost talking for an hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. So, so I just want to say thank you guys for answering all the questions about Initia. Does anyone have any other questions to ask? You can type it in the chat. In the meantime, before I close it off, I'm gonna ask you guys a couple of questions, like personal questions. Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your crypto journey?
Looking back, I mean, honestly, if I hadn't made those mistakes, I probably wouldn't have learned back in like 2020. So I have no regrets about like what I've done, right? But because like if I hadn't done those mistakes, I wouldn't be here right now. Because like suppose Ray, if I just like didn't sell my Teslas or didn't do that, would have just become a Tesla bag holder, community member, right? Is what people like to call them now, and I would have
Yeah,
just stuck into like the Tesla eco. But honestly, I mean, just staying around has really helped me because I have met people that I probably wouldn't even have like dreamt to like met before, but it's cool. It's cool.
yeah. Mister, would you have done anything differently? Or are you glad?
Hmm.
Are you glad for you? I'm glad for my mistakes, but I might have done a little bit things differently.
It's a good cop out is like I would have hold the Bitcoin I got at like $1,000. That's for sure. But besides that, I I'm really happy with my crypto journey and the decisions I made. I I I can't really I can't really think of anything other than like the obvious cop out answers, which is just like, you know, not get rugged or held
Yeah,
all my ETH and BTC. Yeah, I'm I'm really happy with the things I did do, which was that I I started reaching out to projects early on because I knew that I wanted to really get involved in the ecosystem. And so you know, making friends was part of that, but also I just started reaching out to random projects on Twitter in the Solana ecosystem. I was like, "Hey, like can I work for free? Like can I intern? Can I be a mod?" Whatever I had to do to get my foot in the door. And doing that, I've worked on several different projects over the past few years, and that's that kind of mindset of being able to work for free or do whatever kind of got me to where I am today. So I'm pretty damn happy with how things turned out.
yeah, yeah. And um, all I can say is like what helped me the most in my crypto journey was networking, talking to people, talking to a lot of people, picking people's brains. Especially at the start, I was always very curious, so I wasn't really shy from asking people just even the dumbest questions, just to understand what the hell did I get myself into. Especially at the start, doing some modding here and there really, really helped my journey. I got to meet a lot of, people through, just offering help to projects and that. Like, the best advice I can give people is just roll up your sleeve, get your hands dirty, get your feet wet, and, enjoy the ride. You never know who you will meet, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe
now,
one thing I could do differently, it's like
yeah,
Probably because I remember like in 2021, right? I created a meme like, "Yo, this is the top, right? You're gonna die." Maybe I should have just sold back then, because that was like the top. It was around like 60K Bitcoin. I just memed it into existence. Maybe I should have just sold back then, but I didn't. That's one thing I
Yeah,
would do
I mean,
differently.
bro, you created some memes today that back then that people are still using today, making meme coins out of it. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny how some people are taking your memes from 2021 and be like, "Hey, let's make a meme coin out of this," and it's going to like 100M plus market cap. So
Pit
I don't
Vipers,
know.
Mo. Yeah, you remember that Pit Vipers? We
Yeah,
started the
the pit
movement,
viper.
bro.
Yep, yep.
Solana had no swag before we came on.
People don't know the story about Solana. I swear to God, they think other people made the hype. They have no idea. I was teaching people how to use Solette wallet. They didn't even know how to use Solette wallet.
Bro.
But people don't know that back in the day, to actually see your token balance on a Solana wallet, you had to pay Solana gas fees.
Yeah, I remember it was like a tiny amount of fees just to see your wallet balances and whatnot. To even add like token pairs.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
So
you
let days
had
are
to
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually had to pay gas fees to add a token to your wallet back in when Solana first launched. But they changed that now. So, what are you guys looking forward to in crypto? Like, where do you see it heading, and how do you guys plan to be a part of it? That's the last question I have to ask you both.
Uh, is it like where's crypto heading? Is it like asking for the market or just like
No, in general, like not necessarily market. I wanted to ask you price price predictions. I'm more like, where do you see the tech side? Where do you see advancements, or what do you think will get popular, or a narrative building up, or something like that?
for me, I just think like it's gonna be mostly modularity because like how like modularity scales like the entire ecosystem, right? It's like it's way more like beneficial to like everybody, right? And even the end users compared to like a monolithic because you can't scale that. You can't scale a monolithic chain in which like you can with a modularized chain. So I feel like more and more people and like more and more developers, right, are gonna like try to like pivot towards modularity more than the monolithic narrative, right? And hopefully it's gonna get more mature because I mean I do like the meme coin trend, but I feel like the markets do need to mature because I mean with BlackRock and the ETFs and like all right the trad market is taking notice, so hopefully like crypto
Mhm.
markets are gonna become more mature. Because I remember Mo, you were telling me about it, right? Because the people that are buying like the ETFs, right? They're like 60 years old, right? And they
Yeah,
don't have for this, but hopefully crypto can like bridge the age gap, right? So like even like the boomers can like onboard themselves into like our chains, right? So
yeah,
that's where I see where crypto's headed now. Feel like more and more people are gonna like, because I remember when crypto like people still called it a scam back in 2021, and they called it a scam before that, and even before that, right? And now I feel like it's getting more mature, so it's not a scam anymore, right?
yeah. It's not a scam anymore. The people that were calling it a scam are now buying in because now they're like, okay, I might as well make some money out of it. Fuck it, if it's a scam. Even they deep down they still think it's a scam, but they would rather make money at this point. They got tired of seeing their grandson outperform them. You know, but here's where I think crypto could be headed. Um, I think the ETFs are going to play a key role into the market, especially volume. If you guys noticed, the only alt, or not even the alt, the only crypto that broke its all-time high from 2021, it's only been Bitcoin. None of the alts even came close to that because all the volume is just being pushed into one crypto. And it's all because of the ETF. And frankly, I think the same thing is going to happen with ETH, with the ETH ETF, and I think there's a good chance we're going to see just the same amount of volume there. The thing about boomers is boomers think about dividends a lot, so they invest their retirement money into dividend stocks like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Colgate, whatever, things that are very stable, but they would give them a nice income. And the way these ETH ETFs are being designed is they want to stake a portion of it and pay and give it as a payout to their holders, like people that bought into the ETF. And a lot of these boomers are going to think of it as dividends. So that's going to be very bullish for the boomers. But after the ETH ETF, I think we're going to see Doge ETF. And the reason for that is because ETFs care, like ETF, what do you call the institutions that give out these products to you people? They don't give a fuck about price. BlackRock does not give a fuck about Bitcoin being 1K or 500,000 or 50K. They don't care. The only thing they care about is that there's volume coming in, whether it's buying and selling because they make money off fees, and they got people holding the ETF because they make money off management fees. Their bread and butter is fees, whether price goes up or price goes down. They don't care. The only time they will care is when they put their own money into the ETF, and that's what BlackRock is now talking about. And the other thing they want to do is they want to bring the real world assets onto Ethereum. So I think Ethereum is going to be outperforming a lot of layer ones very, very soon, and it's going to take a lot of people by surprise. So I think after once that's all said and done and real world assets are onboarded onto crypto, be prepared for the meme mania. That's going to be the Doge ETF.
Oh man,
That's just my opinion about it.
those are some bold predictions. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be silly season. I could probably see it happening as well. It is silly season.
yeah, yeah. Like every person is now buying. Like, yeah, you know what? I'll buy a little bit of Doge. And it'll go to $1, $2, or whatever. That's all they think about it. It's like I just want to make some money, and Doge has a lot of volume. Like, why would they do a Litecoin ETF or something like that when Doge does a lot more volume? Like Doge right now has 2 billion in volume in 24 hours, and Ripple has 1.5. BNB has 1.7. Solana has 4 billion, but I don't see Solana getting an ETF anytime soon. There's no one in the top 100 outside of the top three that's really competing with Doge in volume. So it's always been and always will be about volume when it comes to ETFs. If the volume is good and there's money to be made, they will submit that application.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion about it, but who am I? I'm just a retail trader, right? So yeah, that's where I think crypto's headed. Eventually, after ETH is done, real world assets are done, we're gonna get a nice meme mania. All right. Um, any other question? I don't. No one really has any questions. Um, it's been 1 hour, a little bit over 1 hour. I don't want to take up more time from you guys. We scheduled it for 1 hour, so I just want to say, thank you both for joining. I do have someone taking notes, for this, and I will be releasing a thread about Initia, what we spoke about, and what Initia is about, and just sharing it with everyone. So, people that are listening in, don't worry. All that stuff will be whatever we talked about will be written down, and I'll provide it to you guys.
Hell
Thank you
yeah.
so much, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you,
No
bro.
problem. No problem. Appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and take care. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Take care,
Peace.
fellas.